from your CV and very good papers you seem to have written in these areas. Other than consultancy and advising government from the World Bank, have you directly worked with the public sector or in the public sector, except the 1.5 years in Tegemeo? Not Tegemeo is a policy research institute at Egerton University. And I saw many Kenyans, when you were nominated, purporting that you used to be the personal assistant to the former cabinet secretary, Mithika Linturi. Were you, or have you, you said you have worked with cabinet secretaries. Were you Mithika Linturi's personal assistant at any point, or have you worked with him in the ministry? 2, you have definitely heard about the fertilizer subsidy program and the scandals that came out of it. I'd want to hear how you intend to handle the, what are called the cartels in Kilimo House, especially around the supply of fertilizer, how you intend to deal with that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and honorable member. Thank you, Majority Leader. Well, first of all, in terms of livestock development, yes, I have also some experience in livestock development. My thesis in the University of Nairobi, my MSc thesis was on cattle breeding. So that is an area. I also did a lot of work when I was in Tegemeo. Actually, I did work on reviewing the policies on dairy sector. So I'm well conversant with the livestock development. In my consultancy work, I've also worked in all the counties, especially in NASALs, evaluating programs managed by EU and other agencies in the livestock sector. In the public, you also inquired about how I've interacted with the public sector. And I want to point out that I started, as I mentioned in the beginning, I started as an extension officer. So from the grassroots. I went all the way to become a planning officer, all the way to an economist in coffee research, and of late, as a member of the task force on coffee reform. So I have interacted in various ways with the public sector. And when I was in the World Bank, definitely I was interacting with the public sector, both at the higher level and the lower level in terms of operations. Being a PA, this one caught me off guard and surprisingly. For the record, Mr. Speaker, sir, and honorable members, I've never met the former honorable Minister for Agriculture. I've never been a PA.
Yes, Minority Leader.
I think so.
Have you answered all the questions?
No, there is one more, which the Majority Leader, Honorable Ichong'wa, asked about the fertilizer subsidy and the cartels. And I would say that, yes, this is a very critical program, which, as you all know, members know, is the one, the food security, center of the food security program. And yes, there are cartels. There was issues last year, the last season, in terms of the quality of the fertilizer, the distribution of the fertilizer. And I would handle, if approved by this committee and the House, this is one of the areas which I would like to work hands-on on to make sure that the farmers are getting the right fertilizer at the right time and the quality is okay. And the cartels, what happens is that cartels thrive where there is lack of competition and openness. I would make sure that there is openness and the integrity is maintained in the procurement of these inputs. 2 is the issue about making sure that I have a governance structure which you guide the way fertilizers are procured, the way they are distributed, by having a multi-agency system which can check on some of these cartels and make sure that any untold thing, especially on quality, like involving KEBS at the beginning, so that we are sure that the fertilizer we are procuring is also in good quality. The other element is also to kind of remove the focus, too much focus on the central procurement. And this is what is being touted as you can go into what we call the voucher system, where the farmers can even go. Eventually, they can be able to procure the fertilizers from other agencies apart from NCPB. So there, the government doesn't have to procure. So you remove away the concentration too much in Kilimo House, so that farmers are able to procure from agro dealers eventually. Thank you.
Yes, Jeanette. You'll pass?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the nominee. And I've looked at him very, very keenly, Mr. Speaker, very seriously. Mr. Speaker, the question that's worrying me is that the biggest problem in this country, in terms of when we approve people here in terms of governance, is the Ministry of Agriculture. There have been problems from the last 5-7 years I was in Parliament, from the previous ministers to the one that we approved here who are 30 cases, plus now the PhD holder who has arrived here. Mr. Speaker, I want this nominee just to prove to this committee how he is going to deal with these cartels and this corruption in agriculture. Because if we were to describe corruption in government in form of a home, the bedroom of corruption in government is Ministry of Agriculture. The rest are sitting rooms, servant quarters, and other small places. And you know, Mr. Speaker, having a PhD and dealing with corruption, having a PhD and dealing with corruption are two different things. So now that's one thing I want him to illustrate, even physically if he can, how he's going to deal how he's going to deal with corrupt people in that place. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, how is he going also, because fertilizer is one of the biggest problems when it comes to corruption also. How are you going to work with the industries locally here to develop a fertilizer manufacturing program within the country here so that this issue of importation of fertilizer can end? So if you can prove those two things, for me, I'll be satisfied, because I know after 1 year, you will be walking jobless in the street, I can assure you. I can tell you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Jeanette, for your questions. I know dealing with cartels is a big issue, and there are many formats and very many forms. But if I am approved by this House and this committee, I'm saying I'm giving a notice on cartels. Notice that they will be out of business. In the fact that my background is that, and one of the principles which I hold very dear is integrity, not to be compromised. And the other principle I hold very dear is having the country's and the farmers' interest at first. So I will deal with them. We will do whatever it takes.
Utatembea na nyundo.
Yeah. I will do whatever it takes, Mr. Speaker, to deal with them, putting systems in place, as I said, governance structures, making sure that I involve all the agencies of the government. I'm sure the government of Kenya is capable of and have agencies which can deal with these cartels, and I will be in the forefront for that.
Nelson?
On the development of the fertilizer, it's a good one, because we need to develop the local industry. What is happening today is that most of the manufacturers we have are for bleeding. They are not for manufacturing of fertilizer. And it will be good to explore further whether they can, apart from bleeding, which is important,